We want to make Turku the best place on earth. I mean, for the companies, for the people.
Already it is.
And it's a good one. I mean, we have a really, really great base. And that's maybe my sort of like mindset. Like I said, I mean, it's always about the business development. How do you make things better?
Hey, Rob Villanueva here from Entrepreneur. New episode of Seeds, our English spoken podcast. Today, we're going to be speaking about businesses, innovation in a city that is about to turn 800 years old. We are talking about Turku. And we are going to be speaking with Vesa Palander. It's Director of New Businesses Development and also Innovation. I don't know if I say it right, but I hope.
That is close enough, definitely.
Close enough. Thank you for having us.
Oh, thanks for inviting me.
So we wanted to talk with you because we understand that there are several changes happening in Finland, but especially in Turku. And those changes are pointing, while the city is about to get 800 years old, to become sort of a epicenter of innovation businesses from now and into the future. So that's why we have been hunting you in order to be able to speak. So, but first, we want to know a little bit more of Vesa Palander, because we know that maybe the people that are in the ecosystem knows you quite well, but maybe there are a lot of people in the city and in Finland that they don't need to know who you are. So first of all, who is Vesa Palander? How do you describe yourself?
That's a good question. So I mean, first of all, I'm just turned 55 years, so I'm pretty much on the old fart side, I guess, already. Husband, father of two great sons, 21 and 13. From here, Helsinki originally, so been living here in Turku for 7 years now.
Oh wow!
And I would say I'm professionally a business developer by heart, so that's something I do in every position. So developing new things, improving existing things, trying to think outside of the box, and typically getting super excited about the opportunities of developing things. So that's definitely the professional nature. I would say secondly, I'm definitely an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. So that's something you can really take away from any person, so that's definitely staying in me, and then I think it's good as well because I mean it makes you think about the big picture. So not just things from the public sector and administration perspective, but really what is happening in the entire city, including the citizens, obviously, including the businesses, and obviously in our case also the tourism people visiting Turku.
Okay, but you did study engineering.
Yes, I have a degree in engineering, industrial engineering and management. So tuotantotalous in Finnish, which is sort of like, really considered a real engineer, I guess. But I mean, I'm very much a generalist as well. So fusing technological things, but it's maybe more from the business development perspective as well.
How would you turn yourself from being an engineering into an entrepreneur, because there are differences. Some entrepreneurs, they don't need to be an engineer to.
Absolutely not. No.
But how did you make like the jump?
Well, I mean, my family is full of entrepreneurs, so I mean that was maybe something I was sort of leaning towards all the time. I spent almost 15 years in corporate life, companies like Nokia, Jabra, Coloplast, but then. It's probably like in the back of my head actually always that hey, I mean one day you will then be an entrepreneur, and I never had any sort of like a light bulb moment that hey, this is the thing I want to innovate or develop. It was sort of like getting into the startup scene and in various roles, and then you sort of became an entrepreneur, I guess. But
the opportunity came to you, or you?
No, I was really looking for opportunities. So I mean. When I quit actually my last corporate job in Denmark, I basically started looking for opportunities of becoming involved in startups or smaller companies. So I started actually investing. That's a really fast way of learning when you lose your own money. So I mean, you don't want to be repeating those mistakes ever again. And that led to basically joining startup companies as the CEO, and that then led to founding companies. So it was kind of like an evolution, actually. No real like conscious decision or moment actually when that happened, but evolution definitely.
Got it. And before we deep dive into what you are doing right now here in Turku, like your position, what makes you make the jump from the private sector into the public sector? Because there are benefits in both.
They are,
but most people, they don't do the jump.
I think that's a good question. I get that asked actually quite a few times, even on a weekly basis. So as a born nerd, I mean, and I guess there's actually been, I heard actually last spring that there was like some friendly pets actually down here in the city side about how long will I be staying. And I mean, all of those have been now expired because I've been here almost 18 months. I think the longest one was like 11 months, paid by somebody. But anyway, the startups I've been running and founding, they have had a like a societal impact side lately. I mean, for the last 10 years. So that's something, I mean, I've been definitely been interested in. So how do you make an impact on wider circles than your own company, for example? Was actually my wife who saw the job ad and said that, hey, I mean, you should apply.
Oh, she
I
told
was
you?
like, yeah. No, well, I mean, yeah, you have different kind of governments, obviously, in your life.
She didn't know you were looking for a new job.
No, she was not. I was not looking for anything. So I was just a happy camper in my founder's role. But I mean, since I actually pointed out that, hey, I mean, have a look at it. I mean, it sounds super interesting. And I think, I mean, honestly, I was not really sort of thinking about applying. But I mean, then I had a chat with my current boss, Tuomas, the chief of staff, and we had a good call. That was in late December 23.
Okay.
And I think he said that, okay, I mean, he needs something new or wants to have something new actually in this sort of a role. And that sort of got me interested. And I applied. And then, I mean, being a very competitive person, I mean, when you apply, you want to win. So,
but because the idea, well, mostly more or beyond that being the person that is in charge, the idea was to bring some entrepreneurship, blood, so to speak, into the charge. So then it moves faster than normally in a public like position, right?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, hard to comment exactly, I mean, what Tuomas was thinking about when he recruited me, but I mean, Mayor was obviously involved in the process and a lot of other people, but I think it's actually, I mean, the combination of having, people with different kind of backgrounds, different kind of experience sets, and typically, I mean, I honestly can say that, I mean, we have too few entrepreneurs in the public sector in Finland overall. So that is definitely good because I mean management teams or big organizations like City, you need a lot of different kind of expertise and experience.
Okay, and now that you have surpassing some limits, staying in the position also, what is actually what you have to do in that position? Because the name like director of businesses development and innovation and blah, blah, sounds like so pompous.
No, well, it's obviously pretty generic. So and it can't really be translated directly from the Finnish elinvoima johtaja. That's like vitality or whatever it is. In German, it's Lebenskraft, which I think is a really good one, especially pronounced in a proper German way. But I mean. We have basically, I mean, 3 target segments. So obviously, it's the people who live in Turku, all the businesses here, actually in the region, and then travel tourism is then the third one. I mean, how do we attract people to visit Turku, stay here, spend money, and I mean, make the city and the region prosper. You could actually, I mean, split it into the kind of like hard type of elements, like really what do you do with the companies to make them flourish and how do you attract new ones here. But then it's very much about the well-being of the citizens of Turku as well.
Okay.
So it's a really like big combination of things because I mean, let's say we want to attract talented startup CEOs from Helsinki region to Turku. It's not just the job actually they would be evaluating when they make the decision. It's the cultural services, it's the nature, it's the housing policies, and that's actually fascinating about being in the city role that it's so many things you have to consider. And it's even like intellectually a good challenge to think about things from a really big picture perspective.
Yeah, it is, because when you are on top, you see almost everything. But then, if we put it in simple words, the idea is to make Turku, like when anybody thinks about businesses or a company is looking forward to establish in Finland, the idea is that they can think immediately in Turku.
Yeah. We want to make Turku the best place on earth. I mean, for the companies, for the people.
Already it is.
And it's a good one. I mean, we have a really, really great base. And that's maybe my sort of like mindset. Like I said, I mean, it's always about the business development. How do you make things better? So obviously there are a lot of things. Employment services is in my department. The business services. So those are maybe the two big ones where we need to focus. And obviously having a really high unemployment in Turku is a huge problem, both from a business perspective, but then of course from a human perspective on individual level. I mean, so figuring out new ways of tackling unemployment, which is record high here.
Yeah.
So those are definitely things that are really, really close to my heart. And then also sort of, you mentioned the investing type of things. How do we attract new type of companies in the areas of blue economy, green transition or clean transition?
Yeah, because if you think in the cities of Finland so far, you think, for instance, in Jyväskylä for like servers, you think in Tampere for software development, you think in Helsinki like to all the other companies, so to speak. You think about Turku, maybe you think about biotech, and you think about the shipping yards. But what else?
Well, those are obviously very big. I mean, the maritime cluster is huge, and I've been also thinking that we need to make it much more visible. I mean, when you walk around in downtown Turku, there are no signs of the greatest cruising ships we're building. So that's definitely one thing. And I mean, I would love to see blue economy, which is actually like a even bigger thing. And then maritime cluster is part of it. So that prosper here in the Turku region. Obviously, you can do much more in the life sciences, bio as well. I mean, there is like no end.
Those are the biggest challenges so far?
No, they are not they are really big, obviously. I mean, those are the two main clusters. Obviously, ICT is there as well. Those are areas we can build on. But it's not the role of the city to obviously decide that, hey, we're going to be supporting this kind of companies. We need to be supporting like all the different kind of companies. And innovation is actually a good thing there. A good example actually, because we can innovate on behalf of citizens of Turku or the companies we have here. But we can share information, we can remove bottlenecks, we can make this kind of like positive collisions happen, that people meet people from academia, people from businesses, startup entrepreneurs, and then of course the public sector people. So you can actually do a lot of kind of like enabling things to make innovation emerge. Okay. So we are providing a lot of different kind of services, but those are maybe the kind of like, if you think about the role of the city, so I see those three areas as super important.
I consider all three considering all that areas, do you think that Turku can become like an innovation hub, so to speak?
Absolutely, and that's definitely the target as well. And I've been taking an example of like government tech. So how do we use, for example, artificial intelligence inside of city of Turku? I mean, in the city administration, and I mean that's definitely something we can do way better. And multiple initiatives there. But I mean, how do we turn it into a regional competitive edge, including our companies in the innovation process and academia obvious as well. So the role of the city actually can deliver very important things when you do it the right way. And that would be very much about like figuring things out so that we have the places and the happenings and all that sort of things, which are then like the nests for innovation.
We are talking with Vesa Palander, the person in charge, the director of business development and innovation for Turku City. We are talking about what is going on in Turku now and in the future, precisely to turn to be one of the epicenters in Finland for innovation and for business development and also of tourism. How hard it's to explain to the Turkulainen, the people that lives in Turku, that the city should become an innovation hub, and it will be good for everybody. But at the same time, people should embrace change to do so.
Yeah, I think actually because I'm not from Turku originally, so I kind of like, well, hate is too strong a word, but I mean, we're like downplaying our achievements quite a lot. So it's even on Finnish scale, it's pretty extreme. So like we discussed already, the base actually in Turku for pretty much everything is good.
Okay.
And I mean, we can build on it, and we should be proud of it, and we should be maybe more ambitious as well, and communicate it. Because I mean, quite often, and that's maybe more like a Finnish thing overall, that we're not really good in marketing. I mean, telling the story of Turku. I mean, how great it is for practically anyone. And I mean, you have then like visitors from other cities of Finland who never came here before. But then they're like, oh, it's like being abroad. And I mean, it's you get like super positive experiences from a lot of things here in Turku, and that's the story we should be telling. That's the story every Turkulainen citizen of Turku should be telling. And I mean, from these kind of like small streams of positivity, we can already achieve and maybe attract some new people or new businesses here as well.
Talking about new businesses that maybe they can be born here, or maybe we can attract them. And also because at the same time, because in Entrepreneur Media, we have been writing and researching about entrepreneurship for the last almost 9 years. So in your case, as a former entrepreneur, so to speak, or as an entrepreneur, because you don't ever even end to be an entrepreneur, but what's the role of the municipality, of the city, supporting startups? What should be the role, or what's the role that we are like going now?
Yeah, now we're getting started. This is my favorite topic. So, yeah, I mean, when I came here from Helsinki in 2018 as a startup founder, entrepreneur, I was looking for the community, didn't really find it. I mean, I'm mentoring startups myself, have been doing that, and I was looking for, I mean, this sort of action as well here in Turku. Didn't really happen. Then obviously we had pandemic and I mean everything, so it kind of like killed all the good starts we had actually in the startup scene. So now actually in May we did launch an initiative called like Turku Startup Relaunch, and that's something we're gonna be doing, and that's involving a lot of different kind of things about the startup community, how the city actually supports them, how the business Turku supports them, and I mean putting all those bits and pieces together so we could actually have a really competitive startup scene.
Okay, but so then the first step to highlight is like to create actually a startup community in Turku.
Absolutely, community is the I mean, you could actually start with the physical premises, which are important, but I mean, if there is no community, it's sort of like short living thing. So community, I mean, we have more than 100 people in the startup launch or relaunch, and that's something we need to now build on. And it's not only something that city will be responsible for. We can actually initiate and ignite and enable and whatnot. But I mean, it's something we need to be doing together.
Okay.
But I mean, that's the topic that's very passionate. I feel passionate about it. So we're definitely gonna be investing in this area to really make it fly.
Do you think there is a particular area or industries that we should be putting our eyes on? Because we already have shipyards and biotech, but should we like aiming to a special industry?
I think from a city's perspective, I mean, we're always very committed to sustainable development. So obviously, we would love to see more blue economy, green transition or clean transition. I mean, the city shouldn't be the one actually deciding on what the companies do, and that's why I mean the city will be definitely serving all the wannabe entrepreneurs in startup scene or hairdressers starting their new business or whatever it is, because we need a lot of different kind of experiences. For example, here in downtown Turku, I mean, that's a topic. I mean, I run into debates about. I mean, all the time. I mean, how do you attract more people to the city center?
Yeah.
Because you have like big shopping malls like Mylly in Raisio, and I mean, easy to park and whatnot. But I mean, we have a unique downtown here, the old town, the river. I mean, a lot of different kind of experience. The food scene is fantastic. So we need to be building on these kind of like experience type of activities and things of different natures. and I mean make it really something that's living maybe not 24/7, but I mean every day at least. And those are also, I mean, under my responsibility. I mean, how do you make it? So it's not only about the startups or anything, and it's always that sort of like whole thing, all these different elements that make your well-being maximized and keeps people happy.
Talking about experiences, as you said before, Turku is well known, at least for us, that we are arriving at the end of 2023 as one of the best cities in Finland related to education, especially because of the universities that we have in the area. How do you think is that? Do you think we can take that recognition into this new era where we should put the emphasis in building new things?
Yeah, I mean, if you go combine the startup scene and the innovation here, so there's a lot of research on how the sort of university spin-offs of startups from with that origin do better in average than the other ones. And I think actually one thing what Finland and Turku also has to do better is the commercialization of the innovations we have in the different education institutions. Some great examples already there, but I mean, we could be doing better. I mean, lift up that level overall. And that's an area, I mean, just had a discussion with the managing director of Business Turku that, okay, let's do a couple of meetings in the upcoming weeks. Okay. And I mean, try to push actually together, because I mean, it's still a small city. And I mean, 50,000 plus students and great education institutions, like you said. But I mean, how do we cooperate even better? More concrete examples and targets and practical ways of doing things. And those are very interesting to me. That, okay, how does the city play its role? How do we really add value? Because I mean, in Finland we have a lot of examples of public sector regulating too much.
Yeah,
maybe a European thing, but I mean, we Finns are really good at regulation as well. So I mean, how do we basically enable and, like I said, remove the bottlenecks, but don't get too close to the actual businesses, because I mean, they're the ones making the innovations, and we need to just sort of foster it and enable it.
Okay, and how do I say this? Do you think there is the need, as you were telling, that the academia should be working more closely with the city and to have this one side about how we can work for the city? Do you think that there is the need to do a more linked work with the academia?
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff. Actually, the call I had when I was welcoming you was with the dean and the managing director of Turku University of Applied Sciences. So we have a lot of communication, and I think the cooperation is great.
Okay.
But of course, you can always improve it and do it at all the levels of the organization. So yeah, we can do better. I mean, absolutely. And if I take the sort of whole RDI cycle, so now we have a lot of emphasis in Finland in the research part of things.
Yeah.
So a lot of money from Business Finland, TESI, and government basically
in
that area.
6G, AI, and
absolutely. But I mean, how do we actually make sure the commercialization works? And that's one thing I would love to focus here in Turku as well.
Okay.
But how do we actually, top all the cities in Finland and become like internationally really good in the innovation commercialization, especially amongst the academia and all the education institutions?
Talking about that, you said before that maybe there's the need of a space that can work like an epicenter of work in there. Maybe something that is like what Maria 01 is in Helsinki. When you did the relaunch, one of the topics was, okay, is the city going to have like a proper space to do so? So now the question in camera right now is, are we going that road?
Yes, we are definitely going that road. I mean, we are now exploring opportunities, quite a few options in the core Turku area, and then the dream would be to have a place for the startups, but also for slightly bigger companies who could be then the sort of spearheads of the growth and innovation, and we would be like in real life building those ecosystems we so often talk about. And but yeah, I mean, Maria 01 is, I mean, super good example. I've been joking about having like Kaarina 02, but I mean, but definitely, I mean, nothing ready. We have a lot of talks in process at the moment, and hopefully something we could be announcing still this year.
Wow. And because of that, I have to ask, which are the milestones that are already written down for this year and maybe 2026?
Well, I think it's actually it's really many things. And one actually thing that really pleased
maybe
me.
choose the three more important because
Well, I mean, the startup ecosystem is definitely one. I mean, because the startups already, we have 2,400 startups in Finland that generate about 10 billion euros in revenue every year, 1 billion in RDI, in impact on GDP. And I mean, getting close to 1 billion in RDI activities in the next couple of years. So that's a really big force, and that's missing, or could be better. It's not completely missing, obviously, here in Turku, but that's something we can do definitely better. Then I would say if you think about the businesses and the innovation, so then it's very much about the investing capabilities. How do we sell the story of Turku to foreign investors, companies, domestic ones, obviously as well. So that's another area where we definitely focus. Then the third one is, I'm still talking about the company services. So then internationalization. Because Finland lives from R&D and export.
Yeah.
So I mean, how can this city nurture the internationalization and the growth of our companies? So that's another one. But then, of course, having said those three things from the business services perspective, employment is definitely then another one actually, which we simply have to get better.
But yeah, I understand everything sounds amazing, but then there's any dates that are for granted that in this month we are going to be launching or announcing this?
No fixed dates, but I mean obviously we are doing everything as fast as possible, and I mean that's maybe something I'm trying to bring to the city side of things as well. That hey, it doesn't have to be a 2-year plan; it could be done in 2 weeks. And I mean we are introducing a lot of like piloting type of. The sort of good old fail fast type of thinking from startups. So why do we have like pilots that last less than 3 months? If they work, we scale them up. If they don't work, we learn from those.
Okay.
And I mean, having this sort of like basic startup thinking actually in the city operations, and that's something it takes time. I mean, this is a organization of more than 6,000 people, and change management takes time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think the best ways of doing the same change management is to prove that. The new way of doing things works. Do it with the pilot, communicate the results, learn from those. Even admit that, I mean, this didn't work and we're not going to repeat it. And I mean, I've been always saying that, I mean, when I really royally fuck up something, I'm going to call Turun Sanomat myself and I mean, tell about it.
What you can call entrepreneur.
I can call you as well, so absolutely.
We are starting the last questions of this interview. One of those is because all what we have talked so far, have seen both sides, entrepreneurship and also now the public service. What's your personal advice that you will give, for instance, to any founder that maybe is starting out a new business?
Well, I think there are multiple things you have to consider, and it's never easy. I think overall, this sort of like entrepreneurial mindset is something we should be highlighting and nurturing and advancing in everything we do from city's perspective. For a founder, I would say that the founding team is one of the most important things.
Okay.
Make sure you have the right disciplines, the right type of knowledge, and you really have to sort of almost get married with these guys. So and it's you don't want a divorce.
Okay.
I mean, like you don't want to have a divorce in
life,
regular life. So I mean, that's maybe the one single most important thing. Then of course you have multiple other ones, product funding, all that stuff. But I mean, in my experience, the founding team is really crucial.
And now, if we take that tips or suggestion plus all what we have talked, what you will say to somebody that wants to start a business here in Turku? What should be the things that he or she should be put
Go for it.
emphasis on?
Go for it. Definitely, it's tough job. Somebody has to still do it, and I would really encourage people to select that route. Then I think the community is actually super important because the best pieces of advice are typically from your co-founders or other founders, I mean. So, I mean, make sure you network, make sure you know people who have done those mistakes you're most likely doing yourself already. Learn from those, and I mean, network, connect, talk to people, focus on the founding team, but focus also on having advisors of different kinds around you.
For a new founder here in Turku City, which should be the first organization maybe that he or she should attend? Business Turku?
Business Turku is a great starting point. And now we actually, together with with Minna Arve, the new managing director of Business Turku, so we are like really aligning sort of like my departments here on the city side and Business Turku, which is obviously owned by City of Turku as well.
Yeah.
So the entrepreneur would be getting like all the services we do from a seamless experience basically. But the Business Turku is definitely the starting point for startups and growth companies.
Last question, and this I'm going to let you answer right to the camera if you want to. 30 seconds for any message, any advice, anything that you want to say to the people of Turku.
Absolutely, good one actually, and I mean, yeah, love doing these short pitches. But I think actually, I mean, what we really need to do, and this connects a little bit what I said already about the how do we market Turku? Because right now in Finland, we've been sort of like hit by all sort of things, whether it's pandemic or war in Ukraine, and we have started to become actually like really depressed and negatively oriented. So I would actually advise and encourage everybody to find out those positive things in your life, in the economic development, or see the opportunities and consume, I mean, help the businesses to grow, become an entrepreneur, take the risks, and I mean, let's start living again. I mean, this has been a little bit too depressive part of the Finnish history, actually, the last 20 years from economic development perspective. But we can do it. I mean, we're still the nation of high education. We have skilled people. The baseline is really good, and now we need to really exploit it and do it. And this starts from small deeds. It could be just telling a positive piece of news to somebody on social media, like I'm trying to do every day, or it takes something else. But I mean, go for it, do it. We can do it together.
Thank you so much again for having us. Thank you for this interview. And let's hope we can do this again next year.
Absolutely, we can do them anytime.
And before we end the episode, we want to give you something.
All right,
it's
lovely.
a very tiny thing, but this is our badge, so you can wear it proudly.
Absolutely,
And
I'll
also
definitely
here's a sticker of entrepreneur that
I'll
maybe
put it on
you
my
can
computer.
put somewhere.
Absolutely, I put it on my laptop.
And you, if you have seen this interview, hear it, or maybe you are going through all the previously interviews about entrepreneurship and innovation that we are publishing here in Entrepreneur, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, visit our website, endnerd.com. We are always trying to publish new content related to entrepreneurship, innovation, and technology here in Finland, Europe, and Latin America. See you on the next one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.